got CPU-Z. This is actually kind of cool. This is also something I've not seen in a Windows bootleg either. And oh yeah, we've got some like custom Windows 10 start menu going on, just like we had in the last bootleg, but this one is different. Can we go into properties and see? Okay, this is start is back. It just can't find the configuration file. But yeah, it's like a live CD like you have on Linux. That's pretty neat. And this also is the newest of the 3 bootlegs that we're taking a look at today. This one comes from 2022. I guess we'll just run the Windows installer, and we'll select English as the language. And I guess from this point on, it's going to be a regular setup process. I wonder if we can actually still access like stuff. Like, can we have Notepad 2 running like while the setup is going on? Let's see. Looks like we can, at least for now. Can open up this PC. Still have our taskbar down here. We'll open up. I mean, I don't really want to intentionally try and screw this up. I mean, what am I kidding? Of course I do. I'm going to refrain from doing it though. And we'll delete the existing partitions and just install it on the unallocated space. Not a terrible wallpaper here for the back of the setup. I mean, it's just like some clouds and it says Merry Christmas 2022 at the bottom. Not very like Christmas themed. I mean, I guess maybe you could say winter. You know, you got like some winter clouds going on. But at least you can read everything, so they get props for that. But yeah, there we go. Copying Windows files, getting files ready for installation, is doing all that, and it looks like we can totally still just use the live CD in the background if we wanted to. So that's kind of cool. But I'm just going to close out of this for now, and we'll let it do its thing. Okay, we made it to the OOBE, and it looks like we got a different mouse cursor applied, so that's something. But I imagine the rest of this is just going to be pretty standard. I mean, now that I think about it, we haven't really taken a look at a whole lot of Windows 10 bootlegs on this channel. I think the record is still probably set by Windows XP, and then maybe Windows 7 after that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and enter our name and do all this stuff.
Salesforce is an incredibly important and strategic investment for Indeed.
It was sort of a
And there we go. So we're back at the desktop. It's searching for a display driver. Why don't I just get that installed right now, just so we don't have to do it later. So I'll plug in the USB that has that on it, and we'll go into Device Manager, and we'll see if there are any weird modifications to it. It looks like we got, oh, is that Rain Meter? I think that is indeed Rain Meter. Okay, well that's definitely a nice addition. And then we have this clock widget up here. Definitely a Christmas theme going on there. I don't know, what is this? X Widget Gallery. Okay, well that's probably having to do with this widget up here. Let me just go into display adapters real quick and we'll update the driver. Alright, there we go. I got everything resized, and I did lower the screen resolution to 800 by 600, which is the typical resolution I use with this setup, just so everything shows up better on video. So that means that the Rain Meter stuff, some of those Rain Meter widgets, which I'm assuming this is Rain Meter anyways, or wait, or this isn't, this is X Widget Menu? Okay, so this is a part of the, I think the same thing here, right? Or no, this is, okay, this is actually Rain Meter. I had it backwards. So this is a separate program entirely. This is a part of Rain Meter. So we can go into here, and here's all the other stuff that we have, or I guess we don't have any of this running right now, but we can get the clock up, and we can get some of the default stuff that we had going on. Oh, we can actually lower the size of this. Why don't we do that? Yeah, we'll lower the size of the Christmas clock. We'll get the weather there. It also seems like it got rid of our wallpaper. You know what? Maybe I should just set this back, because it looks like a lot of this stuff is just going off the screen. So why don't I just change this back to 1024 by 768. Yeah, and now we get the wallpaper back. I was like, I could have sworn we had a whole wallpaper thing going on. So, okay, yeah, there's that, and here's all the other Rain Meter stuff. This is actually, okay, this just looks like the default Rain Meter skin, but this is a different thing entirely. It's this Rainformer HWI skin. So you got a drive thing there, you have CPU and RAM information, and your network info. We'll leave the Christmas clock up there. And I mean, this is not accurate weather information because we're not online, but yeah, you have a little weather widget here too. We're just going to close out of that. We also have down here a dock with just Brave Browser, Wise Care 365, Smart Defrag, and Windows Update Mini Tool in here. I assume this is just going to gather, you know, Windows updates for you if we were online. And then going into the start menu, which we have just like an orb down here. The taskbar theme is not like anything Christmas related at all, nor is the icon there. But when you open up the start menu, you have this Merry Christmas background with like a Christmas tree and some lights. And again, not a whole lot of stuff in here. So we have Brave and Rainmeter, of course, 7-zip, nothing else in games, it looks like. Infran View, Java, K-Lite Codec Pack. We have Right-Click Enhancer, Smart Defrag 6, Stardock. We have Rainmeter and Rocket Dock. Okay, so this is Rocket Dock under Startup. We have Winamp. So yeah, honestly, like, not super bloated, and I mean, some of the software is fine. I don't know what this Wise Care 365 is. Okay, it looks like, yeah, it's a cleaner thing and a system tune-up, so I don't know how much of this is like, you know, scareware, like, oh, you gotta clean your system and stuff, but this kind of seems like it might be similar to something like CCleaner. It is also the Pro version, so I'm assuming it's cracked. I also just noticed on the desktop we have an activator folder, and yeah, you got your W10 digital activation.exe in there. So yeah, that's how you get the system activated. I'm assuming it doesn't come activated by default. I have noticed some changes to the context menu. There's what is God mode? This application only runs under Windows PE or Windows RE. Okay, that might be like the system account or something. But you've got like shortcuts to the system configuration utility, problem steps recorder, open and elevated command prompt. I did notice some minor modifications to the context menus in the other bootlegs as well, but nothing like stuck out to me like God mode did. And I mean, yeah, this is Rocket Dock down here, right? So you can go in and go to dock settings and change the centering of this and the edge offset, and we can, you know, add stuff to it if we want to, change the style. This is apparently the Christmas dock, but we can change that to something else if we want to. And I also think that, you know, having it on top of the screen makes a little bit more sense rather than having it just floating above the taskbar. Because, you know, you're going to go down here for your taskbar and you will probably have stuff pinned, you know, all along here. At least I do anyways on my Windows install. And then you maybe have like some core applications up here, you know, things that you want to get access to. Or, you know, the way that I always used Rocket Dock was by getting rid of the taskbar entirely and hiding it and then just having everything done from the dock. That's kind of how you're supposed to use it. It doesn't really make much sense with the way that they're doing it here. But anyway, yeah, so that is, I guess, I mean, we can go in here and go to properties and take a look at just what it says in here. So, Merry Christmas for the system manufacturer logo. Model Christmas 2022 LTSC. So they've modified that. You get, of course, TeamOS under your support information. And they changed the Windows logo, too. So, oh, and Windows is activated. Okay, so it's already been cracked, I guess. Oh, and you also saw we have some custom icons, but these don't look like Christmas or winter related at all. Let's go into, like, what do we have in control panel? Are there new icons in here? There are, at least for all the categories. Let's do the individual items. No, okay, so these are mostly still the same. But yeah, not anything really Christmas related. The only things that really like make this stand out to me as a Christmas themed distro, if you want to call it that, are the widget here, the wallpaper, and the start menu saying Merry Christmas. Everything else, it just kind of seems like this was another Windows bootleg that was slightly modified to, you know, be Christmasified. Yeah, I guess there you have it. Those are three honestly kind of underwhelming Windows bootlegs, at least for the the reputation that Windows bootlegs have on this channel, because we've taken a look at ones that are a lot worse than this, that have so much just bloatware and a bunch of crap thrown in. Honestly, this last one with that whole like pre-installation environment live CD thing, that was genuinely really cool. That I like I said, I had not seen that in another Windows bootleg that I can think of anyways. So but yeah, that is, I guess, gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, and maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. And guys, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year if I don't make another video until 2026. And if I don't, let me just say that this has been a fantastic year for me personally and for the channel. I've put out some videos this year that I was just really excited about, and I definitely want to keep that going into 2026. And I hope to, you know, make some more videos for you guys and just continue with this. And yeah, so thank you very much for your support for this past year and for your continued viewership. I really appreciate it. And yeah, as always, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
It's weird to think about, but those kiosks Yins keep asking for chicky nugs on are actual Windows PCs. A while back, I saw this tweet with the system details for a McDonald's ordering screen that somehow got tabbed out of the mixed software, which we'll get back to. And it has manufacturers listed as the burger fellas themselves. On top of that, it has an Intel Core i5 6500 Ti and 8 gigs of RAM. People love screwing with these things and doing stuff like leaving dumb messages or remoting into them through TeamViewer or something, and somebody on Reddit even pulled up Task Manager. This video was posted around a year prior to the Twitter picture, but we can see that the only app the system's running is a 32-bit version of McDonald's NGK, which stands for New Generation Kiosks, and has just 4 gigabytes of memory with an i5 4570 Ti processor. It's weird to think about, but those
You. Just you.
Rules, commands, MCP servers, agents, modes, hooks, tools.
Here is a tablet that you can only get in prison or on eBay for like 50 bucks. Wonder how those are getting there. And it's definitely not your average looking tablet, with it being housed in entirely clear plastic, which if you've seen some of the other prison tech videos here on YouTube, you'll know that this is a pretty standard thing. But as a tablet, this is definitely one of the most non-standard things that I've ever seen. So today we're going to explore it and see what it can, or more accurately, can't do. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So let's get the obligatory "they should bring translucent tech back" out of the way, because yeah, they really should. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if you didn't have to go to prison to get your hands on one of these tablets? This right here is the JP6S from a company called JPay, who was described by SFGate as the Apple of the US prison system. Not sure if that was supposed to be a compliment or insult, but according to their website, this is their most current tablet model, which can be used to send instant emails and video messages, receive educational content, you can enjoy music, games, and movies, if you're willing to pay some fees, of course. It even looks like they nickel and dime you to send and receive email. And for many of the prisons they service in 43 of the 50 United States, JPay's offerings are the only tablets that inmates have access to, not including contraband, of course. And depending on where that facility is, inmates might be able to buy these tablets, or they might be offered as rentals. The interesting thing about this one is it appears to have never actually been used. You can see it still has this protection layer over the touchscreen, and it just appears to be in very good shape. The other thing is, when we go ahead and power it on, it's only got 2 applications on it, so you can't really do much with this thing in its current state. Now, it does run Android, a pretty ancient version of Android by today's standards, 8.1, but that doesn't really matter because this thing has no network adapter in it, and it was meant to just run a handful of specialized applications that I guess are developed by JPay, or, you know, in collaboration with some other companies that they might work with. So the prison staff would be in charge of, you know, deciding what applications they want to be on these things when they give them to the inmates. So what applications you get is going to depend on where you're incarcerated. I'm assuming that this bottom connector here is where these things would be connected to like some central computer system or docking station where all of that provisioning can take place. However, this device, you can see it says it was not provisioned here on the lock screen. So yeah, I don't think this was ever actually set up. We really should get this thing off the screen too. I'm sure that was annoying a few people, or maybe it was just me. But anyways, I want to take you into the settings application very briefly because I found this super interesting. Under System, they have really locked this down, certainly more than you would see on like stock Android. If you go into Device Info, everything here is just in a text file, so you can't even do the like tap on the Android version to get the cool like animation and all that. And more importantly, you can't enable developer mode or USB debugging. So I've not really found a way to root this thing and like sideload applications on here. And I suspect, you know, with this being such a specialized device, the info on how to do that is probably pretty limited. I'm sure there's someone out there that's figured it out, and maybe they'll comment on this video, who knows. Now, I did try plugging this thing into a Windows system over the USB connection just to see what would happen, and it does actually show up as a removable drive, at least this portion of it down here, this 23.62 gigabyte drive or partition. This is not a memory card, at least anything that's accessible just from the outer case here. There might be something like, you know, if we take it apart, we might find another storage drive. We'll certainly do that later on in this video. But this system partition, the 8 gigabyte one, is not accessible, but this one is. There's nothing on it, and dragging stuff over to it doesn't do anything because you can't, you know, access any of that from here. There's no file browser. Now, I have tried to go into the FM radio application and, you know, search around in here and in the settings program for like a link to open up a pop-up menu or some sort of browser. That I haven't found any way of doing that. Even things like, you know, in the little notification center here, tapping on the date, which I think would normally open the calendar application, just doesn't do anything because, you know, there's no calendar application on here. Tapping on Wi-Fi doesn't do anything. I don't even think you can tap on Wi-Fi, can you? Oh yeah, you can, but it just doesn't do anything. The screen lock thing works. That's to get to settings, and then this is just, you know, the FM radio controls because we're in that and it's playing stuff right now. But yeah, we are very limited in what you can actually do on this tablet. So that's why we're not going to be talking a whole lot about this today. Instead, what we're going to be focusing on is this tablet. Now, I gotta be honest, when this thing showed up in the mail, I thought that I'd gotten scammed, but that's what you get for not reading the eBay listing close enough. This right here is the JP4, so it's an older model from this same company. And yeah, it's a tiny little thing. I guess maybe this was once the preferred size for a Prison tablet, or this was just a smaller offering they had. It also, which I find very fascinating, takes 4 AA batteries instead of having a rechargeable one. So I guess this might have been preferred at some point as well. But the really cool thing about this one is it looks like that it hasn't been wiped because there are some applications and some media on here. So we're going to be focusing on this for the majority of this video, and, you know, we'll be messing around in here and seeing what we've got. Now, right off the bat, this one's definitely got a lot more signs of wear and tear compared to the other one. On the right side here are your 2 ports. You've got a headphone jack and a micro USB port. Actually, the same exact thing we got on the other one. I just realized I didn't go over the ports on this guy, but yeah, micro USB, you got your headphone jack down here, a power switch, power button, volume up and down. This one, all your buttons are on top. You've got volume up and down, power, and a back button. Nothing over here on this side. There's no, like, you know, expansion card slot or anything like that. And this is not running Android. If we go into settings here, it's got some, you know, custom operating system, maybe like a Java-based thing, I don't know. But if you go to system information, the firmware base is from 2013. The product name is JP4 Alkaline. It's got a 7.11 gigabyte hard drive or flash storage, you know, whatever it's got. And interestingly enough, this over here on the left side is the prisoner's name, and I'm assuming their ID number. I think all the applications we have are just on the home screen. So we have email, music, FM radio, Sudoku, 5 in a row, push block, settings application, calculator, and the user's manual. And then you do have, like, you know, these couple different pages here. This over here is like your media controls. I don't think you can really modify anything. Like if we tap here and hold down to, you know, bring up a menu, nothing comes up. So we'll just start going through the applications. Unfortunately, a lot of these are locked. Like when you go into email, it asks you for a kiosk password. I have no idea what this is. I don't know if this was like set by the prison staff to lock people out of certain things, where they had to get permission to use email. So we're not going to be able to get into here. I think with the music, yeah, it will actually bring up, there's apparently 89 pieces of media in here. So if we go to all media, you can see, let's see kind of what we got. See if I recognize any of this. Got some Nickelback. All right. We've got Holding Back the Years. Okay, yeah, some Simply Red. We got some Imagine Dragons on here. Okay, see, this is interesting as we can kind of try and figure out, like, when this was used. Because, you know, Radioactive, that was, what, like 2010? It's 2012, actually. I was pretty close. We also have Royals. When did this come out? 2013. Okay, so that's even a year later. Oh, and look at that. There's a year option in the main menu here. But the only year is 2013. And there's only one song in there. Okay, so I guess everything else is just under unknown. Yeah, so there's only one song that actually has the year associated with it in the metadata. So, but yeah, I mean, you got a pretty decent amount of stuff on here. Now, how that got on here, I don't know. You saw they were all MP3 files. I mean, well, I know how they got on here. They were transferred over to it, like, through the USB connection. But, I mean, there's no store application on here, so, you know, I guess that would have to be done through maybe a kiosk. I mean, it does make reference to a kiosk here, so maybe you could plug this into that and then, you know, purchase songs and everything from there, or maybe the prison had a library of music that they could copy over these things. I don't know. I mean, there's, like, a variety of different scenarios in which these things could be used. It's going to be kind of hard to pinpoint exactly how this one was used, but point is, you got some media on here. You have an FM radio, just like on the other one. And this is, it seems to be a staple with prison tablets. The few that I've seen, like, footage of online, all seem to have an FM radio application on them. Now we get into the game. So we have Sudoku. So there it is. It's Sudoku. Interestingly enough, that top menu bar with the home button and everything on it just went away. So I guess we have to use this top button up here. We have 5 in a row. So what is this? We'll start. Okay, I honestly do not know how to play this game, but just taking a quick look, the goal is to, well, get 5 in a row. It's played with Go pieces on a 15x15 board. I guess you're playing against the computer right now. So, oh yeah, and the CPU just won because they got 5 in a row. Let's see if I can figure this out. So what you're just gonna, you drop and you try to get 5 in a row. And I just completely screwed up there, so I got blocked. So I also screwed up there. Go there. Oh, and he's gonna totally win, because, yep. I see. I kind of see how this works. I'm sure there's a strategy to it, but God, this, like, I wanted to tap in the center there, not diagonally. This tiny little touchscreen makes this kind of difficult. So here he's gonna, oh shoot. Come on. I didn't want to go there. You almost seemed like a stylus, I think. Maybe this was meant to be used with one. I mean, there's not a, like, storage place for it. So I'm guessing not. It wasn't meant to be used with a stylus. But yeah, I'm probably going to lose this one as a result. Well, let's see. Let's see what I can do. Oh my gosh, I did not want to go there. This is unbearable to use with this tiny touchscreen. Anyway, okay, that is 5 in a row. We're just going to quit out of that. And next we have push block. Okay, this is Sokoban, right? Or Microsoft Cheese Terminator. If you saw my video on that, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, I have definitely played a handful of these games. These are really fun. So you're just moving your little dude around and getting the boxes over the little dots there. So we gotta, like, push this over like that. And there's not a move counter, interestingly enough, or maybe there's one at the end, but I didn't see one on that last level. But anyway, can we change levels? Okay, we can. Can we advance to levels we have not gotten to yet on this first run? I don't think so. Those are the 3 games that you have access to. And then we have a calculator. And yeah, by the way, there is no, like, accelerometer in here, so you can't, like, the screen orientation. I don't even think that the software supports that, even on, like, the home screen. You know, we can't really do that. There's nothing in the settings about it. Let's just go back into settings, though. So we have language, English or Spanish. Those are your 2 options. We have auto off, which is just, this is for the screen. I have that set to always on. Screen shutdown is, well, okay. Let me backtrack here. Auto off is turning the thing off, like the actual tablet. And then screen shutdown is just, you know, turning off the screen, but leaving the tablet running. I have both of those just set to leave it always on so it wouldn't go to sleep during this video. Keytone, we can have that enabled. Now, there doesn't, like, there's not a speaker in this thing at all. Otherwise, we would be hearing that sound as we go through these menus. That's also a very common thing with Prism Tech in general. If they have a speaker, it's usually just capped at like a very low volume to where you can't get it any higher than that. You are meant to just use headphones with it. That's why all these things have headphone jacks. System information you saw, and then we have the wallpaper, which this is the one it's currently set to. Let's see what other things we've got available in here. So Misty Pier JP4, I guess, is the default one. Let's see what that one looks like. There you go. Super cool looking. And we have Parchment, Blue Grid, and Sparkle. I guess I'll just show you all of these. So here is Parchment. If I can get and hit the home thing, there it is. By the way, I did test a stylus earlier. It doesn't work on here. Not compatible. You got to use your fingers. Blue Grid, and go back. There you go. And wallpaper, Sparkle. So here is the last one. Go home. Come on. There you go. So yeah, that's that. And then user's manual. Resume from last position? Sure. What was the last position? Whoever it was looking at drafts. Tapping on the drafts button will show you the letters that you've currently saved. Okay, this is probably in the mail program. Yeah, inbox, email, home screen. It sucks that we can't open that up without figuring out what that password is. That would be kind of neat to see, because, you know, there would probably be dates in there for all of those messages if there were any messages in here. What do these buttons up here do? Can we tap on, like, the battery? I'm assuming this will bring up, yeah, a slider for the volume, a slider for the brightness, maybe. There it is. And then you got home, and you got back. Now, I'm sure some of you might be interested in seeing what's on the inside of this thing. So we'll go ahead and power this off, and there we go. Goodbye, and it powers off. So we will remove the AA batteries from the back in a very strange order, apparently. I don't know why I'm doing it that way, but whatever. We'll set it aside. Those are just regular Phillips screws, so let me grab a screwdriver here. All right, there we go. So we've got this single connection here that connects the rest of the tablet terminals. Oh my gosh, isn't that cool? This is a PowerPC E200. So this thing is PowerPC based. This is a 32-bit Power ISA microprocessor that was primarily used, according to Wikipedia, in automotive and industrial control systems. The speed ranging up to 600 megahertz makes them ideal for embedded applications. So this ran some PowerPC based system. That's pretty cool. And then this over here is what, a Samsung, you think this is, well, let's look it up and see what it is. Okay, this is the RAM, and I'm guessing the 128 means 128 megabytes. And then, so that's, what's this one over here? That's the storage chip there. So, yeah, you're, 3 major components there. You got some capacitors, and yeah, I mean, everything's just on that single board, and you got your display connected to it. I'm not really going to take this thing apart any further than that. Maybe I will off camera just to clean it a little bit, because, oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, you can see definitely, like, behind here, there's some grime and stuff, and but yeah, so it's kind of neat to get a closer look at the internals on this thing. So we'll go ahead and set that aside, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the other one here, just for the heck of it. So this does have a case on it, if you didn't notice. We'll go ahead and just pull this off here. Alright, so that back piece just comes right off. We'll set that aside. And yeah, so here is a closer look at the internal. Here's our big old battery, 8,000 milliamp hours. We have, this looks like a wireless antenna connection. One of the most interesting things about this tablet is it does look like up here that there's a spot for a front-facing camera. But, I mean, you saw there is not one in here. Like, there's no application or anything to utilize one. And I think that is just like the wireless antenna that goes there and then connects to the board here.
Tasha believes comes with a number. Steps.
I'm guessing this is the CPU, these are the RAM chips, and that is the storage chip. Let's see if I'm right about that. Alright, and I'm already wrong. This chip right here, the 4C one, is the eMMC storage chip. It is 32 gigabytes in size. That's what the 32G means there in the model number. So that does confirm that what we saw earlier, how we had that like 24 gig media partition and the 8 gig system partition, those are just partitions on the same drive, so there is not a separate storage medium or anything on here. Oh, and geez, look at this. Right here, it says MediaTek ARM. So this is the CPU. I did look up the model number, and this is a 64-bit quad-core ARM processor. And then we also have some other writings here. So this is, I'm guessing, a manufacture date, July 28th, 2021. Okay. And this is version 1 of the JP6. So, yeah, that's a little brief look inside of this thing. And I think that that is just about going to wrap it up for this little demonstration video on these two Prison tablets. This one, of course, running Android, and this other one over here, if I can grab it, running some like Java-based or, you know, custom embedded system. Definitely some very interesting devices for sure. This is a side of tech that people outside of prison generally do not get to see. So I think this has been a really fascinating look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So do you guys remember this video I did back in 2021, which was 5 years ago now? Jeez, where the heck has time gone? This was a video exploring a couple of Windows Flash parodies, which were just basically little Flash games that were made to look like Windows operating systems, and they kind of made fun of Microsoft and Windows, and were just kind of a neat, nostalgic thing to take a look back at. Well, one of those was Windows RG, which is still hosted over here on Newgrounds. This was created by James Webb, who actually commented on my video, which was super awesome to see. And we're revisiting this today because, as it turns out, somebody made an actual Windows operating system based around Windows RG. So this is themed to look just like the Flash parody. It's apparently based off of Windows Me. And yeah, I thought it would be kind of neat to take a look at this today and actually install it on the 98 computer. This was created by another YouTuber named Windestruct, who also has a custom Windows version themed around the Windows FU Flash parody, which is something that we didn't explore in this original video, but is kind of similar to the two Flash parodies that we did take a look at. There's also a README file supplied with the ISO that tells you a little bit about the project, and one of the neat things that's included is the original Flash game. So you can run that and kind of do a real-time comparison between the two and see how faithful of a recreation that this operating system is, which from what I've seen, I mean, it definitely looks really impressive. So let's go ahead and switch over to the Windows 98 PC and check it out. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. So we are going to get started and pop in this CD I made of the Windows RG ISO image and get this installation underway. So we're going to restart the computer, and it brings us to a startup menu, which has been modified to say Windows RG CD-ROM. So we're going to boot off the CD-ROM. And this is based on Windows Me, if I haven't mentioned that already. I think I did, but if not, yeah, based on Windows Me, terrific choice, of course. So we're going to start Windows setup from CD-ROM. One of the cool things that the developer did that's also on the archive.org page are there's these mock-ups of what a physical copy of this would look like if this was a real Windows version. So there's like an image of a CD and of the box. I just think that's kind of a nice touch. But anyways, here we are at the first part of the setup, I guess. So it tells us to press any key to format the C drive and launch Ghost. So it sounds like this is going to be restoring from a Norton Ghost image. We do have a blank CF card in here, so it did say invalid drive specification there for a second, but it did launch into Semantic Ghost, so we'll click OK. We have to go into local partition from image, and then change to the X drive here, Windows RG CD-ROM, and there's our GHO file, so we'll select that, and we'll hit OK. Local destination drive, yeah, that looks good. And okay, proceed with partition restore, yes. All right, so we'll just let it do its thing. Oh, I think it froze. It totally froze because the time elapsed thing is not moving. Welp. Okay, well this is new. I went ahead and just did a force restart, and I realized, remember before when it said invalid drive specification right after you press any key to continue? It was trying to format. That's because that's what it's doing here. So I let it format the drive. I did already do all of that in gparted before because I was just setting this up with a blank partition on it. But it looks like DOS was able to format it now. So let's see if maybe that changes anything. Well, wouldn't you believe it that the first video of 2026 already runs into a problem? For some reason, I was not able to get the Norton Ghost image to restore to the 98PC's CF card. Now, I tried yanking that out and putting in a regular old IDE hard drive, and that didn't work either. And I even tried the XP computer that I have hooked up to that setup as well, and couldn't get the image to restore to its hard drive either. Now, I tried both the hard disk and partition option, and that didn't work either. It just kept freezing on 7% even after leaving it there for like a half hour. It never got past that. So here we are on the Dell Latitude D610. I got the clone to complete successfully on here. So yeah, we're going to continue and see if we can actually boot into the operating system. Now, I did set this up in a virtual machine and was able to get the clone to finish in that as well. So that's going to be our fallback option if we have any other problems getting this to work. The only thing that I think we might encounter problems with are the drivers. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get like sound working on here. Hopefully we will, but we'll see how things go. We're going to click on continue and hit yes. And now we should be able to boot up perfectly from the hard drive, and check that out. We got a custom boot screen. This definitely looks like the same image from the Flash game. If not, it's a very good recreation of it. So, no animation it looks like. It's just a static image, which is something you can do in Windows 9X based versions of Windows. I used to do this all the time, actually. I would go into like Windows 98 virtual machines and change the boot image around. But the only way of doing that with a file would be just setting it to a static image. So it looks like that's what has been done here. So let's hope that it actually boots up, because I have no way of knowing if the system's frozen right now or not. Now, the author of this does say in the README file that Windows Me can, you know, crash and cause problems on different hardware, which, you know, is definitely an understatement, because I have had, like, nothing but issues with this operating system. And there we go, we got a blue screen of death. Oh, this is fantastic. So yeah, we'll just have to do a force power off and I guess try that again and, you know, keep doing the same thing and, you know, expecting different results, because that's definitely not insane at all, right? Okay, well, we did get to a startup menu. The USB keyboard is working, so that's cool. We're just gonna do normal again, and I guess we can try safe mode if this doesn't work, but oh shoot, okay, that actually worked. And it looks like it is identifying all of our hardware. Now, I did take a look at the README file before doing this whole thing, and the author does mention that this was only tested in 86box, VMware, and VirtualBox. And there is a list of specifications for how 86box was configured, so yeah, I don't know if this was ever, like, tested on real hardware, but I guess we're doing that now. So it looks like the USB mouse I have plugged in, which I have plugged into the keyboard, so it's probably not recognizing that USB hub at the moment. This is this Apple keyboard that I always use in these videos. So yeah, we have the keyboard working, and it's trying to find a PCI standard host CPU bridge. We'll just do the automatic option. Okay, it found that. Cool. PCI standard PCI to PCI bridge. Okay, cool. And here's a standard universal PCI to USB host controller. Looks like it found all that. We'll just do the default option for this. Wait a second, did the keyboard? I think the keyboard just stopped. The keyboard stopped working, or did the system freeze? No. Okay, well that's cool. So the USB keyboard stopped working. So we'll have to just use the trackpad here for a moment and hope that that fixes itself. Generic hard bus controller, cool. It seems to be finding all this stuff. You have to restart your computer. Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Oh my gosh, I think we're actually getting to the point where we're loading in. Yeah, we'll set the date as November 2005. That's cool. And there we go. We're on the frickin' desktop finally. So we get a README. The file copying process is done. Please install all the drivers and click on the Finish Installation application on your desktop. This will set the welcome application to be started every time you boot up the system, and it will also remove this text file from the startup directory. So now is the point where we need to install drivers and stuff. I think I am going to change the wallpaper just so that, you know, it doesn't look so washed out here on video. We only have 16 colors working right now. And it looks like we've got, oh, there's like some custom wallpapers in here too. So that's neat. It's honestly been a little while since I've looked at Windows RG, so I am going to have to look at the Flash application, which I will do once we kind of see if we can get sound working at the very least. So I don't think we need the Windows RG disk anymore, so we'll just take that out and we'll put in our driver disk, and then we'll hop into my computer. Oh shoot, it's not even recognizing the disk drive now. Are you kidding me? Really? I hate when this happens. I've had this happen like a handful of times where it just like the disk drive was working and then it stops recognizing it. It's like, okay, will it recognize a USB drive? I have no idea, but let's find out. Okay, new plan. I have restarted the system and booted off of the Windows RG disk, because, you know, it has the option to start up the computer with CD-ROM support. So we've done that. I'm now going to pop that out and put in the original disk, because this, I just had the exact same driver copied over to it that's on this CD right here. So we'll do that, do a directory listing on the X drive. It should pull up everything on here. There we go. So we're going to copy or CD to the Dell_lat folder, and then I think everything in here are just the like code name, you know, file, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna have to look and verify which one is the audio driver. It's R99254. So we're going to copy R99254.exe to C:/. One file copied. Okay, perfect. I don't think this is necessarily going to work. I could not find a driver, at least just in my initial search, for Windows Me for this computer, because, you know, this thing shipped with Windows XP. However, for some reason on Dell's website, it says that this driver is compatible with Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 2000, and Windows 3X, which has to be wrong. I think this is probably going to be like an NT based only driver that's only going to work on Windows NT based systems or something like that, but you know, it's worth a try, because what do we have to lose? Yeah, Windows 2000, Windows 3X, Vista, and XP. This being in here really surprises me. I mean, I figured it has to be, like, it has to be wrong. All files copied, starting install Shield Wizard, okay. Alright. Seems to be looking good so far. We haven't gotten any errors about the operating system, but that could still happen. It's completed. Did that actually work? That seemed way too quick. Like, that seemed like there's no way. Yeah, no playback devices. Of course, you might just have to restart. So we can do that. Let's just let's close out of this and do a reboot. Is this like actually going to reboot, or is this like a joke script or something? Windows was unable to shut down. Please ensure there's no reason this would happen and click OK. No, you're hiding something. Yeah, see, this is like a whole routine from the Flash game. Windows is going to believe you this time, but don't think you'll get off this easily every time. Okay, so now it might actually... There we go. So it is restarting. Thank you, Windows RG. And yeah, now that I saw that low color mode, you know, when we opened up the install Shield Wizard, it was pretty noticeable. If this works, I am going to try the display driver as well. No playback devices. That did, in fact, not work. Wonderful.
Here you are.
Well, my friends, I have officially conceded defeat and have decided to switch over to a virtual machine where I was able to get everything set up, all the drivers installed. And yeah, so we're just going to actually do the demonstration portion of this video on here, because I spent a while troubleshooting and trying to find different drivers and just wasn't successful. So it does seem like if you want to experience this, it's probably best just to install it in a virtual machine or on 86box, as the developer did mention. I'm using VMware Workstation here. And so, yeah, we've got the proper display driver, we've got sound working. So now we're going to run this finish installation script on the desktop. And this, I guess, will restart the system. And we're going to just boot from hard disk. I still have the disk in the drive, so that's why we got that menu. I did also load up the Windows RG like actual Flash game that was on here, just to kind of skim through it a little bit and get familiar with some of the stuff in there, to be able to compare it to what we have in the operating system. So let's go ahead and log in. So there's our Windows startup sound. Now, okay, look at that. I was wondering if it was going to do this right off the bat. So, yeah, the Flash game immediately comes up with an error that says required DLL, Windows.dll was found, so Windows has deleted it. And then it just makes a string of errors. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And this definitely is a different error. This looks more like the one in the Flash game. So, these are not like real error messages, which it looks like the last one was, but that might have been like an actual VBS script, where this is probably something else. All of the custom applications, according to the README, were developed in Visual Basic 2005 Express. Windows could not delete Explorer.exe, the file is in use by Windows. And then I think like, okay, there we go, we got that error to go away. And check that out, welcome to Windows RG, really good edition. Build, oh, that just went by. Windows RG now comes with Microsoft Word as standard, so you can do, have you noticed the icons on the desktop? You can access your files quicker and easier than ever. You can find out the rest for yourself, click OK, and you're on your way to an easier life with Windows RG. So, yeah, that is, I think, the exact same, like, welcome application. Cannot find anything, please reinstall Windows, okay. So, would you like to take a moment to register your copy? Sure, let's see what happens when you click yes. Cannot locate register.exe, Windows won't bother searching, okay. Yeah, so we have some icons on the desktop, we have a custom start menu with the same items that you have in the Flash game, but there are icons added now to the side, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, we have the little banner there on the left. So let's just go down the stuff on the desktop. So we'll begin with my computer. And this is actually Windows Explorer, but you can see that the sidebar has been changed with the from here you can break your computer text that is in the game. So yeah, you can go into local disk C and, you know, view all our files there. We got the D drive and control panel. You know, it is just Windows Explorer, but my documents should open up a custom script that says, you boring arse, get some documents before you come in here looking. And then it just comes up with an error message, Explorer.exe has performed an illegal operation. Okay, so yeah, that's a custom script. Let's see if RecycleBin... Okay, RecycleBin does have these same files in here, but this does look like the real RecycleBin. This is where stuff you don't want gets shoved. Also, this is where files that Windows has deleted for no reason get sent. Click the button below to empty the RecycleBin. So yeah, you've got like these, you know, critical looking Windows files and then just an N drive in here. And these are, yeah, these all look like shortcuts. Okay, so these aren't actual like real critical files. So let's see what happens when you click empty. It does get rid of them. Okay, so cool. So those are now gone. So that is kind of cool. Windows Media Player. Okay, so this is a custom program. And it does play the same song that that is in Windows RG. And then there it is, the same media player has performed an illegal operation message. Isn't that a shame, isn't it? And then you close and it gets out of it. And then here is, of course, the original Flash game that you can open up in Flash Player. And, you know, you could have this going like side by side as you go through the system if you wanted to. But yeah, it loads up and, you know, it'll work totally fine. But yeah, I have to say, so far, this is a really faithful recreation. And we haven't even gotten to the start menu yet. So let's go down the list here. We'll begin with Word, which opens up this gigantic Word RG, you know, thing. And then there's Clippy. It looks like you're probably not writing a letter. I like letters. I think you should. Start with a word like milk. And sponge, I like sponges. Now you need some pictures to my brother, ha ha ha, oh dear, I think I've made it crash. Paperclip.exe has performed 94,708 illegal operations and will now be shot. Dang, okay. And then you get a Word.exe illegal operation, killed a paperclip, and then it closes. So yeah, that's Word. Windows Update, another custom application. This will, I actually forget what this does. Windows is checking for available updates. This is done with sending all your money to Microsoft, and then it fails to connect. This could be for several reasons. You smell, your house is green, you're trying to be naughty. Okay. And then it says please try again later, and it closes, and it looks like that crashed the entire system. That might be intentional. Let's see if it, oh, look at that. BSOD is not responding. So I'm guessing, yeah, it was supposed to load like a fake blue screen of death. I also cannot see the mouse cursor. Let's do an Alt-E here and task. There we go. We're back at the desktop. But I cannot see the VM's mouse cursor. So I think I'm just going to do a force restart. Okay, now I'm curious. So let's see if we go into the Flash game, what happens when you go through Windows Update. Because it looks like it was supposed to load a blue screen of death, but it didn't work. Yep, it is supposed to load a blue screen of death. It says, Windows is broken, please reinstall Windows, press space to continue. And then I assume it will just like reload and get you back to the desktop. So let's try that again and see if we can actually get the BSOD loaded. So we'll get out of all these error messages, and that one you got to click like 40 million times. And then you got the like startup application. So Windows Update. Because I do want to see how this looks, if it's like the exact same image or if it's like a, you know, custom thing. Oh, well, system is busy, but that's not the same thing. That's an actual BSOD. And yeah, it just keeps saying not responding, so we'll have to end the task, and then, yeah, it looks like, see down there in the taskbar, it's still like loaded up. But yeah, I still cannot see the mouse cursor, and now the keyboard's not working either. So, alright, we're just doing a force restart again. Hello? What is going on? What? Okay, I've never seen this happen before. It froze on the login screen. Okay, that's better. So, let's try to move on. Okay, what does the crash thing do? Let's click on that. Oh, jeez. Okay, so that actually, these are some real error messages. C Windows RG crash.vbs, not enough storage is available to process this command. I wonder if that's supposed to happen? Like, is this how it's going to crash the system? Well, we'll have to check out this VBS script. I'm curious to see what it does. But okay, it just brings up all these error messages, which I'm having trouble. Like I'm assuming, yeah, it just keeps loading more. Microsoft VB script runtime error. Can we just hold down enter to get? Oh my gosh, look at all the. Okay, well, oh yeah, it just comes up with more of them. Oh man, okay. So I think you would probably have to do a force restart to get out of this. I mean, can we load up Task Manager? Oh my God! Look at all these Windows script hosts. Gee, holy. I'm just seeing if like something else happens if we get out of all of these. No, it just keeps loading up more. Okay, what happens if we try to start doing other stuff? Yeah, it's going to give us that there's not enough memory to run the program. So, although Explorer hasn't errored out with anything. Oh my God, look at the taskbar, or the start menu rather. It's nothing's in there anymore. And there's not enough memory to run the media player program. What happens when we try to run the Flash game? Not enough memory, okay. Explorer is the only thing not erroring out. I mean, it is running, but it's just not like able to open up like my computer. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. We got a window partially opening up. So yeah, it looks like it just overloads the system with you know, it just has something use up all the memory, and then it just throws all these not enough storage available to process this command error messages. It looks like VMware Tools also is not running or crashed or something. And now, oh, what was that? Now I don't, okay, well, I didn't have control there for a second. My computer is taking a while to load. There's Recycle Bin opening up. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to do a force restart. So, let's do that. Oh, and VMware isn't gonna be able to process the command, because it goes through VMware Tools, so it does like a proper shutdown. Oh my God, yeah, that's actually not gonna work. I think I'm gonna have to kill the process on my host computer. Yeah, failed to reset the virtual machine. Look at that. I am curious. I want to go in and look at this VB script wherever. Can we go properties? See Windows RG crash.vbs. So let's go into the Windows folder. It actually, wow, look at that. Windows is a protected folder. Please enter the administrator password to continue. It was incorrect. Please go away. Look at that. Okay, so is this a shortcut or something? That's pretty cool. That is an executable file. That's not the real Windows folder. So you have to, like, go and just type it in the address bar there. And then in here, we should have RG, an RG folder, which is right there. Oh my god. But yeah, very simple script here. It just loops this RAM consumer run wscript.script name. Well, continuing on, we have Solitaire, which, yeah, this is like a custom Solitaire application that you just, like, move these cards around. There's an 11 card. And yeah, it just doesn't actually, like, it's not real Solitaire at all. It's just literally dragging these things around. You've won! Would you like to play again? Sure. Oh, and yeah, now they all, like, run away from you, except for that one, which kind of glitched out there. I don't know if that was supposed to happen. So there's that. You've won. Would you like to play again? Sure. And so yeah, oh geez, look at that. Okay. Well, I guess we have part of that 4 just permanently on the taskbar now. Order food. So we'll connect to the online database. Oh, that's right. You have 3 options: prune juice, slice of ham, or chickpeas. Let's go with a slice of ham. Sorry, it's sold out. I think they all say that, right? Yeah, food is sold out. So that's literally all that this does. So we'll go ahead and quit. And it will eventually close there. Go online, opened up, yeah, Internet Explorer E7. And then unable to connect. And you get that same error that we saw in, what was that? The Windows Update program. Or no, but there are 3 different reasons this time. You don't have an ISP, the internet is broken, or you are going to a site. So, no, like, address bar or anything, it just says connecting down there. IE-Explorer.exe has performed an illegal operation for no reason, probably because you smell, and then it closes. What else we got? Okay, so Paint is a custom paint program. And then, oh my gosh, that is flashing. I'm gonna have to give a, I'm gonna have to put an epilepsy warning for that section. Jeez. So yeah, it just flashes very, very quickly, and then it will eventually just close out. So there you go. Help. The updated Windows Help service is so simple to use. Enter 1 or more words regarding what you need help on, and Windows RG will be happy to help. Does this do the same thing every single time? Sorry, it did not find any matches. However, it found 3 possible matches. So here's the 3 matches. How do I purchase Lime? Sure, we'll click on View. And then I think it crashes again. It loads that, like, BSOD routine or whatever. But that just doesn't seem to work. Or, I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe this is supposed to be the way that the system actually crashes. And that leaves us with the only other 2 options, being reboot and shut down. Now, we saw what reboot did on the Dell Latitude, but let's see what shutdown does. Yeah, it definitely is not the proper, like, shutdown script. Are you sure you want to quit this wonderful operating system? There is a high chance of your processor overheating. We'll say yes. Are you sure? Why now? Instead of shutting down, order some delicious food from our wide range. We'll say yes again. Are you sure you could go on Paint and do some glorious artwork? We'll say yes again for a 3rd time. Are you sure? Surely you love Windows RG more than this. Are you sure? Fine, if you click yes now, Windows RG will shut down. Honest. Something tells me that's not going to happen. Nope, it was unable to shut down. You could have left a program on. Is that what you've done? Is it? And we'll say okay. And this could be due to the buildup of limescale on your processor. And okay, we're still running. It definitely didn't, like, shut down. Yeah, system is busy. It's doing this whole thing again. So we should eventually be able to get to the task manager, or maybe not. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to press Ctrl-Alt-Delete to restart, and that's not even working. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I don't think it will actually shut down your system. You have to, like, force power it off, or just, you know, get to that point and do a restart. And well, I think after all of that, we can finally bring this video to a close. Oh my gosh, this thing has gone on way longer than I initially intended, but hey, hopefully it was entertaining to you guys, seeing all that troubleshooting nonsense trying to get this to work on real hardware. But I'm glad I was able to demonstrate this to you. I think this is a really cool project. I mean, it's kind of a unique concept, right? Taking a Windows Flash parody and transforming it into a real version of Windows that you can install and mess around with, and I really think it stays true to the original with these custom applications. It's very well done, so I definitely recommend checking this out. Again, I'll leave the author's YouTube channel link down below. But that's going to wrap it up for Windows RG as a real version of Windows. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
We all do it. It's the one that should I join it. Even crazier, it's the folks with insurance that keeps them.
So I saw this article from Tom's Hardware recently talking about how the latest version of Zorin OS hit 1 million downloads just 5 weeks after it was released, which according to Zorin themselves broke all previous records. And what might not surprise you is that a vast majority of these downloads came from Windows computers. Now, we've already talked about Windows 10's recent end of support and how it has caused a lot of people to start seriously thinking about if they want to stay in Microsoft's ecosystem moving forward. And for those looking at alternative operating systems, Zorin OS seems like an appealing option because it's designed not just for Windows users, but for users of Mac OS and even other Linux distros too. Its user interface is very customizable, so you can have a familiar look and feel to whatever system you're already using. Plus, its very low system requirements means that you can run it on older hardware relatively easily, especially something that Windows 11 can't officially run on. So today I wanted to explore this OS to try and see if this is the best Windows replacement out there, or if it's just another look-alike distro that nobody will care about in a couple of years. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So longtime viewers of the channel may remember that I already made a really crappy video on Zorin OS way back in 2016 when version 11 was the latest release. Now we're on version 18, and with Windows 10 going out of support, there's been a lot of renewed interest in distros like this. I've gotten a couple emails and comments from you guys asking me to revisit this, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So you can download Zorin OS from their website, which I'll have linked down below, and one important thing to note is that there are a few different versions of it. There is a paid Pro release, which of course they're going to put at the top of the download page, that contains a whole bunch of extras that you don't get in the base core version that is free to download. There's also an educational release that we're not really going to talk about today because I feel like most people looking at this OS will be interested in one of these two versions. We're going to check out both of them today to see if the Pro release justifies the almost $50 price tag. But one thing I noticed right off the bat is that the premium desktop layouts, where you can get an interface similar to Windows 11 or Mac OS or Chrome OS or some of these other Linux distros down here, are only available in the Pro version. And this is something that they advertise on the About page for the operating system. It's actually the first thing they mention here underneath just where the download link is. So this is actually a paid feature, but you do get the standard desktop layouts with the free version, and that does come with a Windows-esque layout, but it looks more like Windows 7, Vista, or XP, which I honestly prefer anyways. The other layouts you get for free are the Windows list-like one, which just refers to the taskbar buttons having labels. You've got a touch-centric interface, and then you have a GNOME shell-like interface. And there is a full comparison chart that shows you exactly what the Pro version has over the free one, which in addition to the desktop layouts are some extra applications and tools and artwork and access to technical support, and of course you contribute to the development of the operating system itself. But I feel like the free version is going to be just fine for the vast majority of people. We will be exploring the Pro version later on in this video to see what exactly it comes with, but we're going to check out the core version first. So I've got that already installed here. The installation process is nothing special. This distro being based on Ubuntu, it's pretty much exactly the same as the Ubuntu setup process, just, you know, reskinned, and it is a live CD, so you can use it before actually installing it on your hard drive and all that usual stuff. But once you install it on your hard drive and boot up, you get this little welcome thing that comes up that asks you if you want to take a tour. So we'll take a tour. It tells you where the menu is. This is kind of your start menu, if you want to call it that, as I probably will throughout this video, even though like application menu is probably the correct term. So yeah, it tells you where that is, and then it immediately asks you, hey, do you want to mess around in Zorin Appearance and select a different layout? So again, in the free version, we only get the 4. So this is the default layout, but you do once again have the option to show taskbar labels. So you can see, there you go. It also changes the size of the taskbar, makes it a little bit thinner. And then this is the touch-centric interface, which just, gets rid of the start menu and just makes it a full screen interface. So you can navigate through and see all your applications there, as well as your desktops. And then the last one is the GNOME style layout, which if you were coming from Ubuntu or another distro that uses GNOME, you'll be pretty familiar with how this works. So they do advertise right here that you can get the additional layouts by upgrading to Zorin OS Pro, but we can just hide that. And then of course you have like your theme options for changing the accent color and the style and all of that. I think I'm actually going to leave this in light mode just for this video, but I will change this back to the default layout there. You also have Jelly mode, which makes the window, if we turn this on, as you move it around, it does that cool kind of blob animation, which I think is pretty neat. You've got options for having a desktop cube when you switch between your desktops. That is done from down here. So if I were to enable that, you'll see that we've got more of a 3D interface going on rather than if you have this off, it's just sliding from the left and to the right. And then you have a spatial window switcher. This is for pressing Alt-Tab. That's the default interface. And then here is the one. Kind of looks like CoverFlow on Mac OS. So yeah, kind of a neat thing. And then desktop, of course, you can mess around with the icons, the background, your window settings, your interface settings, all kind of your standard stuff that you would see in other Linux distros too. But going back to the Zorin Tour application, if we go to next, this I really like. So it detects that I'm running this in a virtual machine, and it asks me, do you want to install VMware Tools? So I'm going to say, yes, absolutely. We will get that installed right now, and I'll just put in my password, and we'll run through that really quickly. Next up, it talks about connecting your online accounts. If you wanted to, log in with Gmail or with your Microsoft account or something to sync your mail, there is, of course, a default mail app and kind of all your standard, productivity stuff. So you've got that. And this is kind of neat. If you have an Android phone, they have this Zorin Connect application for syncing notifications between your phone and your computer. You can send files between the two, even control playback, and use your phone as a mouse and keyboard, which I think is pretty neat. And then they tell you about the software store. This is the same exact software store that you have in Ubuntu. It's just the GNOME thing. So yeah, that's in here. And that's it for the tour. So we'll close out of that. And after using this for a little bit off camera, I have to say the layout does a really good job at mimicking Windows. I mean, the start menu has 2 columns, which is my preferred start menu, as I kind of said earlier. I do like this one over even the Windows 10 default one. I still use a third-party start menu program on my Windows 10 systems because I just don't really like the Windows 10 one. The Windows 11 one I think is a little bit better, but I still prefer this layout. Another minor detail that I appreciate is when you have an application running, it will have a little line underneath it, just like in Windows 10, which is kind of neat. Although the only thing different here in Zorin is that that only appears on whatever your active window is. If I were to launch something else like Brave, which is the default web browser, you'll see the file manager will change to just having that little dot underneath. So yeah, we'll go ahead and close out of this. Another cool thing is app pinning. You have a similar UI that you see in Windows 11. When you drag a window up here to the top of the screen, you got all these little boxes that you can drag it into to pin it to a specific area on the screen. So maybe we want to do that. I'll open up Brave and we'll pin it, over here, and then open up the Software Center, maybe pin that down here in the corner. Going back into the applications menu, I do want to just briefly scroll through the software just to give you a list of everything that is on the system by default. Something that I think is neat is Windows App Support. This is basically a shortcut to downloading Wine from the software marketplace. This is not a feature that Zorin heavily promotes, which I think is great because, like I always say, when switching to Linux, I think it is better to find alternatives to Windows software that you're already using rather than trying to go into it with the expectation that you're going to be able to run all of your Windows software. But if you had a Windows program that you couldn't find an alternative to that you needed to continue using, I would definitely recommend trying a Linux distro like Zorin out on another computer or in a virtual machine and testing that program before committing to ditching Windows, because I mean that would definitely suck. Also, I think that the logo here looks like the Boot Camp logo from macOS, so let's hope Apple doesn't have a fit over that. We'll go ahead and minimize this while it is installing and close out of these other applications. Going back into the Start menu, as I'm going to continue to call it, most of these applications are just things that you'll find in other distros that utilize GNOME, so there's nothing really special there. You do have LibreOffice, which I think is a great inclusion and is a pretty capable alternative to Microsoft Office. I have used this on my main computer and plenty of other systems in the past as well. But yeah, the only Zorin specific things are the Connect application and the Appearance application that we just were in earlier. However, the Pro version of Zorin OS has a whole bunch of additional applications included in it, and this is pretty heavily advertised on the website too. They talk about having over $5,000 worth of professional software. Or, no, because you have to read this a little bit closely, alternatives to over $5,000 of professional software. I gotta say, this I'm not really a fan of, having this part in bold here, because that's like what I read, you know, what I noticed the first couple times, until I saw that, oh, it's talking about alternatives to over $5,000 of professional software. So you're not getting $5,000 worth of value, you're getting alternatives to things like Microsoft Office, Adobe Premiere Pro, and some of the other Adobe Creative Suite applications. And you see that next to each of these individual entries, they have a price. And I guess when you add all of these up, you get to over $5,000 worth of professional software that Zorin OS has alternatives to. So this wording is not incorrect, I just don't really like it because, you know, it kind of like, if you're not reading this closely, which yes, you should do to be fair, it kind of, you know, might read like, oh, I'm getting over $5,000 of professional software, when you're not actually getting anything that costs any more money. All of the software that comes in Zorin OS Pro is completely free to download. Here's a list of all the stuff that comes in the Pro version. It's all free software, so you can just download all this stuff in the free version of Zorin OS or on any other Linux distro. But I guess it is nice that you just have all this stuff bundled in here. I mean, you can see the program list is much larger here in the Pro version. We've got things like Audacity and Blender and Darktable and GIMP and Handbrake. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying that any of this is like bad software or anything. I mean, I'm using Audacity right now to record the audio for this video. But again, you're not getting anything of additional dollar value with all this stuff being added. I mean, sure, I guess it'll save you a lot of time having to download it yourself, but again, the way that it's kind of presented on the website, I'm just not really a big fan of. Of course, what they also talk about on the website are the additional layouts that you get in the Zorin Appearance application. So here's the original form, and then we've got these 8 ones down here. So we're going to just go through each of them individually. So this first one is the, I think this is the Elementary OS kind of themed desktop layout. So you have a dock down here. You have that same full screen app menu that we saw in the just standard GNOME-esque interface. And then you have your little menu up here for accessing your profile folders and, you know, the software store and settings and all of that. And then, you know, your kind of just menu bar, like task tray thing going on up there. We'll go back in here. This one is the Windows 11 style theme, where you have the start menu and taskbar centered. And I honestly kind of like this version of the start menu too. It's just like a pop-out apps list. You can scroll through and you have a search bar up here. You've got your, you know, user controls over here for locking the screen and logging out, and your power controls over there. Everything else, though, appears to be exactly the same as just the default Windows 7 layout. I mean, you can see the taskbar is exactly the same size as well. It just moves everything to the center. Now, this one here just moves the start menu over to the left side along with the desktop switcher, but it keeps the apps in the center. Everything else is the same, though. You have this one that moves the bar over to the left side of the screen. So it's like a side dock interface like you have in Ubuntu, or even, you know, Mac OS. You can configure it this way as well. I'm just having the dock over to one side of the screen. You have this one, which is more of like a Windows Classic style menu. So, you know, it's just a single column. You can go into each of these different categories to view all of your applications. You have a search bar down here, and the taskbar is, I believe, the same exact size as it is in the free desktop layout that has the labels on the items in the taskbar. Although one thing I'm noticing is it seems like they got rid of the desktop switcher button there in this layout, so that's been removed from the taskbar anyways, and it seems to increase the size of these buttons a little bit. So yeah, but the main thing is the different menu you have. You've got this one, which this looks very similar to this first one that we took a look at in the set of the new ones. It just moves the app launcher up here to the top of the screen. You see it gets rid of it there, and then now you go up here and you get like that Windows 11 style menu that we saw in these two interfaces here. And it also looks like it moves around the, this like trash can goes away. And yeah, but the dock itself appears to be exactly the same. Next up is this one, which if I had to guess is kind of going to be like a Windows 10 style. If we go into the applications menu, you've got your like user folders and everything here on the left, and then your applications here on this right side. Although in Windows 10, you know, that would be just different pinned tiles and stuff, so it's not exactly the same thing. This actually, now that I think about it, looks like Linux Mint. It kind of reminds me of that interface. You can see that the taskbar, though, like if we switch back to this one here, actually it doesn't look any different going between these two. The only thing that changes is the menu. And then last but not least, you've got this one, which I believe is the Windows 11 style start menu, just with the taskbar functioning more like a dock in the center of the screen, which I imagine as we launch applications will grow and you know, eventually touch the two edges here on the side of the desktop. So yeah, those are the 8 additional desktop layouts that you get with Zorin OS Pro. And I think this begs a very important question. Is it worth paying $50 for this operating system just to get some additional layouts, all this free software bundled in here? You also get some desktop backgrounds that you don't normally get in the free version. There are 15 extra wallpapers in here. So, I mean, that's nice. And then, of course, you also have the technical support and the fact that you are just supporting the development of Zorin OS.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking Meat Base 44.
So is all of that worth $50 to you? I mean, you're going to have to decide that for yourself. But of course, the nice thing about Linux is you can literally do everything that I've shown you today in this paid version of Zorin OS for free through other alternative means. I mean, there are plenty of ways to theme your Linux installation to look like Windows 11 or Windows 10 or Mac OS or practically any other operating system. I mean, we've taken a look at a few customization packages for Linux on this channel before. I really think that the main reason you would be buying a license for this operating system is to help the development of it for the foreseeable future. I mean, according to Zorin's website, they are funded entirely by the community. From what I've seen, there aren't any advertisements on this website. They seem to rely on donations and purchases of Zorin OS Pro. But for the vast majority of people, especially if you're a newbie to Linux and are considering switching to this operating system, there's no need to buy the Pro version. You would be just fine using the free one. And so that's what I would definitely recommend if you wanted to try out Zorin OS. But I will repeat something that I've said plenty of times in other videos about Linux. Anytime that I'm recommending a new distro to somebody, I always say to go with one of the mainstream offerings. But I do think that Zorin OS, while it's definitely not on the level of something like Ubuntu and Linux Mint, it at the very least is a few steps above some of the other Windows lookalike distros out there that are, in my eyes anyway, more like hobbyist projects. They're not something that has been around for a while. There's not really a clear roadmap for the future. Zorin OS has been around since 2009. It's got more of a user base. They seem to be pretty consistent about putting new versions of it out So if it was between Zorin and one of those other distros, I would definitely have to pick Zorin OS. But I'm curious what you guys have to say, especially if you're a current user of this operating system. Is this something that you see yourself using for the foreseeable future? Or are you maybe thinking of switching over to a more mainstream distro or just another operating system entirely? I'd love to know what you guys have to say, but that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this little demonstration of Zorin OS. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So do you guys remember these programs that used to pop up on store shelves all the time back in the late 2000s? This one was bought for $70 from CompUSA back when they were still a thing. And it allowed you to easily migrate all of your data to a new XP or Vista machine using nothing but a USB cable. Now, for some reason, I was really intrigued with this type of software back then, but I never got a chance to actually try it. So today, I guess we're going to be fulfilling the lamest dream that I've ever had by seeing what this thing can do. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So I gotta give a huge thanks to a viewer out there for sending me this copy of Transfer Your PC Deluxe version 2.0 from Nova Development, which apparently has everything you need inside to get this whole transfer process going. So in addition to the USB cable, we also have a quick start card, a user's guide, a registration card, as well as 2 CDs, one of which contains the actual transfer software, as well as a drive cleanser for wiping the old PC's hard drive, so if you want to sell that computer or donate it or whatever, you'll be able to get all your data off of it before doing so. Now we're going to take a look at this software maybe towards the end of this video, but the majority of this episode is going to focus on the actual transfer software itself, which is compatible with Windows 95 or later, as it says on the side of the box, except not entirely, because if you were running either Windows 95 or 98 First Edition, you couldn't use the USB cable to transfer all your files to your new PC. You would have to do that over the network, which is supported, and I did think about setting that up, but I decided to go ahead and just use the USB cable instead with a newer version of Windows, because it is very heavily mentioned on the box here and seems to be the preferred way that this company would rather have you do this. So what we're going to be doing is using the 98 PC running Windows 98 Second Edition and trying to transfer everything on that over to the 2000s Mystery PC running Windows Vista. And the funny thing about that is, even though this USB cable supports high-speed transfer, probably just meaning USB 2.0, we're going to be limited to USB 1.1 speeds because that's all the 98 PC supports. So this is just going to be fantastic and probably take a significant amount of time, but at least we'll be able to figure out if this software would have been worth it back then, or if it would have just been easier to yank the drive out of your old computer and plug it into your new one as a secondary. I'm sure we already know the answer to that, but let's do this anyway. Right after a quick word from today's video sponsor, Ugreen, whose DH4300 Plus provides the easiest NAS experience there is. It's like cloud storage, but hosted by you, so that you're fully in control of your data, you don't have to deal with ever-increasing subscription costs, and it's really simple to set up. It took me, the guy who spent half an hour trying to reset a password on Linux one time, only a few minutes to get this thing hooked up on my network. You plug it in, power it on, go to any old web browser or use your mobile device via NFC, and you'll be up and running in no time. Of course, you'll also need to have some hard drives to pop into this thing, and thankfully Ugreen supports a wide range of them for a total of up to 120 terabytes of storage, which is more than you'll ever need. I'm sure that won't age poorly. And thanks to its 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, the transfer speeds are really fast. I mean, it takes literal seconds to move a 1 gigabyte file off this thing, which you can do from anywhere via Ugreen Link. You're able to customize access permissions so that other users can only view and modify the files you want them to. And it comes with some nice extras like their smart album feature for automatically tagging photos to make them more easily searchable. So be sure to click the link below and use the coupon code in the description to get 15% off on the most beginner-friendly NAS there is. And huge thanks again to Ugreen for making this video possible. Alright, so I've got the installation disk in the old computer's drive, and we're going to look at the quick start card here throughout this just to make sure that we're doing everything in the correct order if that matters. One thing that I did notice here is under the choose a connection thing, apparently you could use a parallel cable if you wanted to instead of the USB or the network transfer method, and it does mention if you have Windows 95 you may want to go with this since the USB transfer is not supported, and depending on how old your system is, you may not even have a USB port on it anyways. So yeah, that's neat. So here's the preparing your old computer. It tells us to close applications. It wants you to run ScanDisk and run a virus scan, all this stuff. We're not really going to bother doing any of that. We're just going to go to, yeah, install transfer your PC. So put the CD in the drive and install it. So, yeah, I guess I'm kind of disobeying the instructions I said I was just going to follow, but that's just kind of how we do things around here. You've probably figured that out by now. So, yeah, we'll get this program installed, and it tells us not to connect this USB cable until we are prompted to. So I still have it right here, and we will wait for it to tell us to plug it in. That I will follow. So it looks like a basic install Shield Wizard, nothing super fancy. We got your license agreement. It says to maximize system compatibility, transfer your PC may not transfer certain system settings. This may affect system utilities such as antivirus or anti-spyware. You may need to reinstall those. Okay, so it's not going to transfer everything. You cannot select individual programs and settings to migrate. What? Really? You can't, you can't choose things individually, or is that just for programs? Because I was thinking, it was going to, give you a list of here's all the stuff that we can transfer. What do you want to pick? But I guess for certain things, it won't let you do that, or it may not let you do that at all. Okay, moving right along. Looks like we have to put in probably a country here. Let's just put in the USA, and that does allow us to hit next. You don't have to put in a company name, which is great, I guess. So, okay, we'll install, and there we go. There is a serial code on the back of this envelope here, so we'll have to enter that in at some point, I would imagine. And it tells us right here it is okay to plug in your USB cable now, but I want to make sure, can we plug it into the other computer? It looks like in here the connect your cable step is after preparing your new computer, so I guess we're just gonna wait on that for now. Well, we'll launch the transfer your PC software. Now here's something of note. This version does not work on 64-bit operating systems. That's pretty major. I mean, if you bought a new Vista computer, it very well could have been 64-bit, and if you bought this software thinking you were going to be able to transfer all your stuff over to it, I guess you would have been out of luck. Does it mention that on the box anywhere? I didn't see that. Like over here, it just says system requirements, Windows 95, 98, and Me 2000 XP Vista. It doesn't say 32-bit. Yeah, I don't see anything on here about that. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee, though, so I guess you could, if you bought this and then it didn't work with your new system, you could just take it back and get a refund. There's also a $10 rebate, by the way. I forgot to mention this earlier, so it would have cost you $60, depending on if you could actually get that. I'm going to have to investigate this, but that's, if this really doesn't work on a 64-bit operating system, even with just the built-in Windows compatibility layer for running 32-bit stuff, that's a major problem. It also says down here that apparently there's a free trial version that doesn't require a serial number, but it doesn't say how it's limited. I'm guessing that it only lets you transfer some things, and then it looks like down here you could undo a migration. So maybe we'll try that out later as well. So here's a whole bunch of stuff here. Important. While most applications and files will move without issue, please note the following. Some applications may not be compatible with the new operating system, like this software itself, apparently. Music files with copyright protection may not play without transferring licenses. Okay. Some software with special copyright protection may need to be reinstalled or reactivated. Yeah. You should remove trial software on the new computer if a full version is on the old computer. Okay. You should remove older versions of software on the old computer that already exists on the new computer. Antivirus, anti-spyware, and hardware drivers will not be moved. Okay. You cannot select individual program and settings to migrate, which we did see that before, and I still just find that so bizarre. So you can't individually select certain programs and settings. I have read and understand. Which computer is this? It's the old one, but we have to prepare that one second. Oh yeah, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned it, but I have these computers hooked up on a KVM switch, so we can just easily swap back and forth, which will be very useful.
These days, work moves fast.
Oh, and we got a Windows security cannot verify the publisher of this driver software. We're going to install that anyway. That would probably also scare some people. Here it is again. Isn't it great how they don't tell you what driver it is that you're installing? Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Microsoft. And yeah, we'll launch transfer your PC, and I guess I'll go ahead and plug this cable in since it did say it's okay to plug it in now on both systems. Alright, it's in. It installed the driver software for the Laplink USB 1.1 silver prolific cable. So, is this not even USB 2.0? I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be because, you know, the older Windows 95 and 98 machines would probably not have USB 2.0 at all, but it does say high-speed data transfer. But usually, you know, if something is USB 2.0, it would say 2.0 on it. So this is, looks like it's USB 1.1 anyways. Windows Firewall has blocked some features of this program. That's probably for the network stuff. We're going to unblock that. And then here's the wizard once again. So we'll say next. We've read and understood. This is the new computer, and we're going to transfer over USB cable. You also have using files, which I'm guessing you could, okay, yeah, just make a snapshot and then move that over to the new system. So yeah, you even have a fourth way, which it doesn't talk about in here anyways. So yeah, okay, so we're just gonna do USB cable. Ready to start USB transfer. It will now perform the entire move. This could take from several minutes to hours depending on how much is being moved. Select next to proceed and then go to the old computer and run transfer your PC. You will control the rest of the process from there. Okay, so we'll go over to the old computer and we'll select that option. And okay, so here is perform full migration or the limited trial migration. The trial migration demonstrates the concept of transfer your PC by automatically transferring all files of the type you choose, for example, all your Word documents, from your old PC to the new PC. It will not transfer any programs or settings. Okay, so at least, like, I mean, you could kind of see how the program worked. I guess this was available for download or something, or if maybe somebody gave you a copy without giving you their serial number. I don't know, but yeah, so you have a way to kind of try the program out without buying a serial. The only thing, though, is, yeah, is it going to need, validating your serial number requires internet access. If you don't have internet access, please click no internet access, which it just tells you to go to another computer and go to this link. Is this company even still in existence? Because we're not going to be able, like, to validate this. It looks like Laplink Software, they are still around. So I guess maybe we can try, and it does want us to put in an email, so okay. Wait, what? Well, gee, I guess they still have the activation server up for this, what, almost 20-year-old software now? Like, I gotta give props to them for that. I mean, wow. So we're just gonna say over USB cable, ready to start, load snapshot, transfer your PC. Will now load a snapshot of the new computer in order to determine what needs to be migrated. This should take a few minutes. So we'll say next. Okay, so it's loading the snapshot. Let's see what's happening on the new system. It is taking the snapshot. Okay. So cool. But yeah, so far, I've not been given a list of, like, what do you want to transfer? It sounds like it's just going to do everything, except for all the things that it is not going to migrate, like the antivirus software and the hardware drivers. So yeah, let's just see what happens when it finishes this portion. Maybe it will give us a little bit more information. Okay, here we go. We got something. So it will transfer all of the files, applications, and settings that do not already exist on the new computer. Although most of the time it is not needed, you may wish to customize your migration. If you do so, be very careful when changing from the defaults. So let's do that and see what options we get. So under main, always move wallpaper and screensaver, always move Outlook Express identity and address book, always move MS Word settings, we'll move Internet Explorer settings, do not move IE toolbars, BHOs, browser helper objects, and potential spyware settings. I see, to avoid migrating spyware, it does not migrate. Okay, so troubleshooting, do not move hardware device data, move only files, so if you don't want to move any registry settings, so that's nice. Do not move application files in the Windows directories. Yeah, we'll leave all that unchecked. And then miscellaneous, use startup this. It looks like it will normally set all auto start programs as disabled, and turning this section off will cause auto start programs to start automatically on the new computer. Okay. Merge INI files. You can move accessories, so it normally will not transfer the shortcuts in the accessories part of the programs menu. So that's all of this stuff here. Because, you know, the new computer is going to already have a bunch in there, and same with control panel icons. But you could enable that if you want to. But those are all the settings, so there's nothing specific about, like, what programs, what documents, what files that you want to, choose. Like, you don't get a file browser with a list or anything. But, alright, so we're going to just click on Next. Ready to start. Build moving journal. Transfer your PC will now build the moving journal, during which time it determines exactly what will need to be transferred to the new computer. We will select Next. Map users. This list shows each user on the old computer and which user it corresponds to on the new computer. We will keep it as that. The username is the same on both, so that sounds good. Map drives, that is good. And so there we go. It is now building the moving journal, which looks like it's not going to take very long at all. I imagine the new computer is just mirroring... Oh, it's back to connecting. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess we haven't really started the migration yet. Okay, here we go. Ready to transfer. So it gives us a summary. It's going to transfer 11,549 files, 69,018 settings, which all will take up about 2.5 gigabytes of space on the new computer. So we're going to click on Next. It will now transfer the moving van. Okay, so that's what they call it. This could take from several minutes to hours depending on how much must be moved. Select Next to begin. So here's where we're going to be sitting for a while, and just to see on the new computer, yep, it is unloading the van. Okay. And we're done. That took about 35 minutes. It did eventually show up an estimated time remaining counter there. And they're really going with the whole moving van metaphor. So it says, filling the moving van is complete. Okay, so we'll say finish, and I guess we just got to switch over to the new computer, and we'll see what we got going on here. So already, we got some shortcuts on the desktop, and it tells us, congratulations, you've successfully moved into your new machine. It talks about some applications may not be compatible, you might have to reinstall some stuff, and that we have to reboot, so we're going to do just that. And check this out, on restart it did change our desktop wallpaper, because I was wondering about that. It didn't change it immediately, so that's good. And we do have a few more icons on the desktop that did not show up before. And now it comes up with Start Up This, which is one of the things it was talking about before, where you could have it transfer your, basically everything in the startup folder that, it was going to start up with your old computer over to the new one. So you can make changes in here. So we'll run Start Up This to see what that is. So machine run and user run. So the only thing under user is Start Up This, and machine run we've got like the Microsoft TV viewer post setup program, which has been disabled. All this has been disabled, of course, because that's how we set it up on the old computer. But yeah, none of this we really need. I mean, I guess we could start up Microsoft Voice and see how that works here under Windows Vista. But like, this is NVIDIA stuff for the old graphics card. This is a registry scan thing, task monitor. We have, so I think we're just going to go with that. We'll hit OK. And you're about to import Windows address book contacts. So we didn't really have any of those, but they've now been imported, I guess. And there we go. So yeah, we've got everything going here, it looks like, under Windows Vista now. Although I do want to go into Documents and check. So we've got the Nintendo browsers in here. We've got our Christmas Word document. It looks like it did. Okay, well, it's coming up with an installer. So we do need to reinstall Microsoft Office 2000 to be able to run that, but we've got the icon here for it. And I'm guessing under Pictures is, yep, look at that. So it copied over the photos, and of course we have just the Vista sample pictures. And under Music, it did not copy the music. Look at that, because this is all just the sample stuff. And yeah, I mean, public music? No, it did not copy that stuff over. Oh wait, I did have contacts. Yeah, that was from the Microsoft phone video. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so it did transfer my Windows contacts over to just the contacts thing here in Windows Explorer under Vista. So that's awesome. Okay, but yeah, it did not get the music, so that's unfortunate. I'm trying just to kind of go through here. Let's do a star.mp3 search on the drive and just see if maybe they're in some other folder, because they are all MP3s. No items match your search. Alright, well, I guess we got none of them then. But it looks like it got most of our programs. We even have Windows Update, the old Windows Update Manager program. Let's see if this still works. Oh, it's just going to go to the website. So, yeah, but we've got that old icon there, which is kind of cool. We have BOS 5 Personal Edition. And yeah, that's just not going to work. NTVDM is going to crash immediately, but it did transfer the launcher program, which is neat. But yeah, I think it got all of the programs that we had under Windows 98 on the old system. We've got some of the Nintendo web browsers. We have Christmas for Windows. Does this actually work if we launch like stationaries? Yeah, it does. Look at that. And you can open WordPad. And well, that's not going to open up properly, but the actual program itself does, so that's cool. We've got the rest of the Nintendo browsers under the media browser folder, Microsoft Games, yeah, Flight Simulator, Revenge of Arcade. We've got the the RAFnet adapter manager. This was for using the GameCube keyboard controller with Windows. You've got Real Player, that's hilarious. Sierra for Half-Life and Blue Shift. Transfer your PC, of course, we put on here, and under startup we have nothing. So yeah, let's see if well, we've got Netscape as well. Can we launch Netscape Communicator? Yes, we can. Of course, I won't be able to find home.netscape.com, but that's pretty cool. So it transferred that. Google just says update your browser naturally. Let's see if we can open up Half-Life. Oh, yes, we can. Check that out. Although we aren't getting any sound. And I think it just froze because, yeah, the logo is not doing the whole animation. Okay. We might need to run this in compatibility mode or something. Compatibility mode for Windows 98, and we'll run it as an administrator as well. I know Half-Life will need the CD eventually when it does launch, so we can just try to put that in. Alright, so it's been like, I don't know, 15 minutes and we're still here, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill the process again. And I guess we can try out Blue Shift, since, we've got that on here as well. So let me change the CD I've got in the drive. And also let me just hop in here and enable compatibility mode for this. And we'll run this as an administrator, and we'll just try to run this and see what happens. Unable to load function, ft-thunk, kernel32.dll. Okay, so that ain't looking too good. You might have to just reinstall some of these games. Can we run Miss Pac-Man? Okay, complains about the color palette, but it looks like it, yep, it's working. So we can totally, do that once the game actually loads up here. The one thing that's interesting is we're not getting any sound, and I had sound working before we did this transfer. Did it it said it wasn't going to copy over drivers and stuff. So let me just go into sound here. I think, yeah, SoundMax integrated digital audio. Yeah, we're not getting anything. That's actually kind of strange. Well, sound is broken now, but that may not necessarily be because of the program. But I am curious to see, I saw Microsoft Voice up here. Does this work? An error occurred in the speech recognizer, okay, but it did try to launch there. And then we got Microsoft Call Manager. You think this will work? Oh my gosh, it works. Holy cow. Well, let's see if it crashes or anything. I also don't have the phone hooked up anyway, so it may start complaining about that. But the program did launch, so that's kind of cool. We've also got AOL Instant Messenger, which this is from the Netscape Communicator suite that I installed. So that opens up. Of course, we're not going to be able to sign in or anything. Copied over my NetShare folder, which this was just, a network share that I had on the 98 PC, so I could drag files and stuff over to it. So it copied all that stuff over. We've also got The Sims. Do you think this will run? The Sims has stopped working immediately. Okay, let's try compatibility and run as an administrator. Sims has stopped working. Okay, well, I could put in the disk here just in case it needs that. But I don't think that's the problem. Yeah, that's not the problem. Now, of course, this could be that these programs just don't really work under Windows Vista. I've never tested them before. But, it did at least copy them over. We also have Winamp, which it does. Okay, Winamp works. That's awesome. Also, I'm pretty sure this was the last song I was playing in it under Windows 98. In fact, we can verify that right now. Let me go over here and open up Winamp. Yes, it is. So it did keep that information, which is cool. But yeah, the fact that it didn't transfer our music is kind of a bummer. I know that it was talking about it wasn't going to transfer, certain copyrighted material and, stuff that you would have to purchase a new license for or whatever that it mentioned. So that might be why it didn't really transfer the music. But it did get our photos, it got our documents, which is good. And yeah, overall, a pretty painless experience. But before you went in and, did the hard drive cleanser on your old computer, I would definitely recommend going and making sure that it got everything. Unfortunately, it doesn't present you with like a list at the end of it when it finished transferring to let you know everything that it actually did move over. But I guess what we're going to do now is we'll use this drive cleanser program on the 98 PC, but I am going to swap out CF cards because I don't want to overwrite my Windows 98 one. Although, actually, now that I think about it, before we do that, I want to see if this revert option that it was talking about, if it can just do that, like, without needing the old computer. Let's just open up the Transfer Your PC software and see. Yeah, undo previous migration. Let's see just what this does. I assume it'll just reset everything back to the way it was before, so we will undo it. And I have the old computer turned off right now, so it's not accessing any files from that. And it looks like this is going to take considerably less time than it did moving everything over. And yeah, check that out. It already removed most of the icons from the desktop. And now it's asking us to reboot, so we'll do that. And we have sound working again. Okay, so I think it did mess up the sound driver somehow. And yeah, we're back. So it does just revert everything to the way it was before. So yeah, I was just wanting to do that before we wipe the drive, just in case we needed the old computer to, like, you know, do the unrestore process, which I don't really see why you would. Although I would have still had this drive anyway, because I'm not actually writing over the exact same CF card. But anyways, whatever. So yeah, let me go ahead and swap over to the 98 PC. We will power this on, and we'll check out the drive wiping process. I am kind of curious if this is just going to be like a rebranded version of an existing tool, or if this is actually like their own thing that they developed. It's a Cronus drive cleanser. Okay, so yeah, that sounds about right. You know, I actually don't think I've ever used this before. I mean, I've used plenty of these like drive cleaning tools, but yeah, I mean, you just go through, you have a very like Luna XP-esque interface here. We're just going to select the drive that we want to erase. And yes, we've selected an active partition. We're going to format it. And here you can choose whatever algorithm you want. We'll just go with the default option. And it tells you what it's going to do. It's going to format. That sounds good. Permanently erase all data. And yeah, so that seems pretty straightforward. And I guess all that's left to do is try and figure out this whole 64-bit compatibility thing. Okay, well, to get to the bottom of this, I installed Windows Vista 64-bit on this computer here, and I think I know why it says it's not compatible with 64-bit machines. It's because when you start the Transfer Your PC software, it will error out with this cannot access driver error that corresponds to the USB cable. So if you plug in the USB cable to a 64-bit machine, it will not be able to install the proper driver for it. However, there are still the other transfer methods in this program that we could theoretically use. I mean, I haven't tried this yet. I was saving that for this video clip here. But if you go through, we can say this is the new computer, and you see that USB and parallel port are grayed out, but we still have using files and over a network. So I've got the 98 PC running, and we're going to see if we can do this transfer over the network real quick. And let's just say next here, waiting for connection. All right, let me hop over to the other computer. And it tells us to locate our new computer, and it already populated with Vista PC, which is the name of the laptop. So it found that. We're going to say next. And now it's going to load a snapshot of the new computer. Okay.
This is a team feeling zen. The Dell PowerEdge service that makes.
And there we go. And you can see on the new computer here, it's doing the same thing. So it estimates that we have 10 seconds left, or well, just went up to 11, but we are getting there. And well, that has already gone up significantly. I don't even think this progress bar has moved since then. I'm just going to put my mouse cursor like right here so we can kind of see if it still moves. But check that out, it is really lagging too. I mean, look at how slow that the animation is going there. Okay, well, I think I've discovered the problem. On the 98 PC, we're getting a hard disk is full error. And that's probably because the other snapshot from the previous